Hello, I'm continuing just after the last video with the book Road to React, and I'm on higher order components at the minute. The application is working, and when the last step was when we press more, or let's say we are loading the site, we have that loading notification, which is that one here, and the application is working very well. This loading is just for the client to know there is something happening and he have to wait patiently if he can. I'm gonna leave the application open because this is React, and when I save something it's going straight away into the render. I'm just gonna stop it and start again because I'm just gonna go back a bit, and I'm gonna open the editor. Now I can start the application. npm start, and that's it. Now that's the loading, which is working. I'm gonna close this one. Now I can continue with the book. Higher order components, HOC, are an advanced concept in React. HOC are an equivalent to higher order functions. Sorry, let's see if they take any input, most of the time a component, but also optional arguments, and return a component as an output. The return component is an enhanced version of the input component and can be used in your JSX. HOC are used for different use cases. They can prepare properties, manage state, or alter the representation of a component. One use case could be to use a HOC as a helper for conditional rendering. Imagine you have a list component that renders a list of items or nothing. Because the list is empty or null, the HOC could shoot away that the list would render nothing when there is no list. On the other hand, the plain list component doesn't need to bother anymore about a non-existent list. It only cares about rendering the list. Let's do a simple HOC, which takes a component as the input and returns a component. You can place it in your source app.js file. Let's do that. I'll just put it, sorry, this is the test. This is what I don't like here, because to be honest, this test, they should go out of the program and should be another solution or something, and we put everything. To be honest, this for me is a bit bad practice. Let's put that function. So yeah. One neat convention is to prefix the naming of HOC with foo. Since you are using JavaScript ES6, you can express the HOC more concise with an ES6 arrow function. So this is the other way I can do it, with the arrow function. Now this is the best, not the best, but it's a better way than this one. Let's use the latest technologies. In the example, the input component would stay the same as the output component. Nothing happens. It renders the same component instance and passes all of the props to the output component. But that's useless. Let's enhance the output component. The output component should show the loading component when the loading state is true. Otherwise, it should show the input component A conditional rendering is a great use case for HOC. So I'm gonna put it here. With loading, go to component with the props is loading component props. Okay, based on the loading property you can apply a conditional rendering. The function will return the loading component or the input component. In general, it can be very efficient to spread an object, like the props object, as input for a component. See the difference in the following code snippet. Before, you would have to destructure the props before passing them. Full bar. Now some component and just put the props. Yeah. There is one little thing that you should avoid. You pass all the props including the isLoading property by spreading the object into the input component. However, the input component doesn't care about the isLoading property. You can use the ES6 res destructuring to avoid it. Now, this is quite bigger now. I'm just gonna replace it here. I'm gonna replace it here. It takes one property out of the object but keeps the remaining object. So it takes one property out of the object, yeah, but keeps the remaining object. Yeah, it works with multiple properties as well. You might have already read about it in the destructuring assignment. Now you can use the HOC in your JSX. A use case in the application could be to show either the more button or the loading component. The loading component is already encapsulated in the HOC, but an input component is missing. In the use case of showing a button or loading component, the button is the input component of the HOC. The enhanced output component is a button with loading component. Now, const loading, yeah, so they put it same as me. Now they have let's put it here and save it. Everything is defined now. As a last step, you have to use the button with loading component, which receives the loading state as an additional property, while the HOC consumes the loading property. All other props get passed to the button component. Now let's see where they fit it. Just under interaction, just under interactions. Where was that? Class name interaction. Diff class name equal to class. So is loading. Okay. So I'm gonna replace this one down to here. Now let's do the indentation properly. Okay. When you run your tests again, you notice that your snapshot test for the app component fails. It should show the following diff on the command line. Button class name on click. You can either fix the component now when you think there is something wrong about it, or can accept the new snapshot. Because you introduced the loading component in this chapter, you can accept the failing snapshot test with you on the command line in the interactive test. Higher order components are an advanced technique in React. They have multiple purposes like improved reusability of components, greater abstraction, composability of components, and manipulations of props, state, and view. Don't worry if you don't understand them immediately. It takes time to get used to them. I encourage you to read the gentle introduction to higher order components. It gives you another approach to learn them, shows you an elegant way to use them the functional programming way, and solve specifically the problem of conditional rendering with higher order components. Advanced sorting. You have already implemented a client and server-side search interaction. Since you have a table component, it would make sense to enhance the table with advanced interactions. What about enabling sorting by the table columns? It would be possible to write your own sort function, but personally I prefer to use a utility library for such cases. Lodash is one of these utility libraries. Let's install and use it for the sort functionality. Now I'll stop the code. Let me see if I'm filming. Yeah. Oh. Where is this? Is something is oh, this is because because when I save it gives error when it's rendering. Now I were about to install this one. So I'm gonna install this Lodash guy. Now you can import the sort functionality of Lodash in your source apps.js file. Sorry about it. Import sort by. Okay. You have several columns in your table. There are title, author, comments, and points columns. You can define sort functions where each function takes a list and returns a list of items sorted by property. Additionally, you need one default sort function which doesn't sort but only returns the unsorted list. No. Interesting, in this they put it just here. Which is a bit weird. You can see that two of the sort functions are return a reverse list. That's because you want to see the items with the highest comments and points rather than to see the items with the lowest. The sorts object allows you to reference any sort function now. Again, your app component is responsible for storing the state of the sort. The initial state will be the initial default sort function, which doesn't sort at all and returns the input list as output. Okay, sort key none. Sort key is loading false here. Once you choose a different sort key, let's say the outer key, you sort the list with the appropriate sort function. Now you can define a new sort method in your app component that simply sets a sort key to your internal component state. Now this is in the constructor. Where is my constructor? With this on this means, yeah. Okay. And this is the new function. We keep the good order. The next step is to pass the method and sort key to your table component. Now we pass the sort key. Should be here. Wait, in the render search term result. Oh, sorry. Should be here. Comma, of course. Now, in the table, straight after the list, yep. Why I think I'm not in the right place. Div class name instructions. Yeah, I'm in the right spot. Yeah. The table component is responsible for sorting the list. It takes one of the sort functions by sort key and passes the list as an input. Afterward, it keeps mapping over the sorted list. So we're gonna change this one. Cons table. We're gonna change it to to here. Okay, and now we're gonna put the sorts. So this one. Okay. In theory, the list would get sorted by one of the functions, but the default sort is set to none. So far, no one executes the onSort method to change the sort key. Let's extend the table with a row of headers that use sort components in columns to sort each column. So this is in table. Title, table header. So this after div equal to table. Oh my goodness. So I have to pass everything in here. then style, sort, this two is going in, title, then we have the sort, span style, okay. Now the rest, which is quite annoying to be honest. Now this one, so that should be, each sort component gets a specific sort key and the general onSort function. Internally it calls the method with the sort key to set the specific key. Now we just said sort I'll copy it that way. And because we don't have sort yet, as you can see, the sort component reuses your common button component. On a button click, each individual passed sort key will get set by the onSort method. Now you should be able to sort the list when you click on the column headers, but a button in a column header looks a bit silly. Let's give the sort a proper class name. Okay. Now we should be fine. It should look nice now. To be honest, I didn't see how it looks before that. Let me check. Let me check how it looks. Yeah. Okay, that's how it looks at the minute. And what? I don't see any difference. I don't see any difference. Maybe I'm wrong. So on click class name button inline. Well, how was looking? Let me just replace it with the old one. Oh yeah, that's how it looks like a button. And after that, let's see. Now it should look better. Okay, it should look nice. Now the next goal would be to implement reverse sort as well. The list should get reverse sorted once you click a sort component twice. First you need to define the reverse state. Okay, we're going to define the state. The states are up. Don't forget it. Now in your sort method, you can evaluate if the list is reverse sorted. It is when sort key in the state is the same as the incoming sort key and the reverse state is not already set to true. Now I'm gonna copy the code on sort. Do we have it from before? No. So, oh yeah, we have it. Yeah. Now I don't know for what reason that's happening, but it's all fine now. Again, you can pass the reverse prop to your table component. Is sort reverse. After sort key. Yeah. It's here. Little comma. Then we're passing it to the page in the table. Sort key. The table has to have an arrow function block body to compute the data now. Now we are going to do the table, const table, list sort key has to have an arrow function block body to compute the data now. I don't know. Do I have to remove everything here? The reverse sort should work now, but okay, I'll try step by step. Sorry, I'll pause it a bit because I have phone call. Now we are on the return and we have to reverse sort at least. Return. Table header. Is it just here? Oh no. Should be here. Or is replacing this one actually. I think so. The reverse sort should work now. Last but not least, you have to deal with one open question for the sake of an improved user experience. Can a user distinguish which column is actively sorted? So far it is not possible. Let's give the user visual feedback. Each sort component gets its specific sort key already. It could be used to identify the activated sort. You can pass the sort key from the internal component state as active sort key to your sort component. Let's check. We have a problem. Table.prop types 274. Oh yeah. Here it is. No. Okay, it's working both ways now. It's working both ways now. That's perfect. Now let's recap here. Each sort component gets a specific sort key already. It could be used to identify the activated sort. You can pass the sort key from the internal component state as active sort key to your sort component. Okay, active sort key on sort here. And then here. Oh, yeah, the first one was here, but they are actually same. They are same, so it doesn't really matter. And I have to pass it here as well. On 3 places. Yeah. 1, 2, 3. On. So on, we have it on title, on author, and on comments. Title, author, and comment. Yeah. Okay. And on points. On points. Now in your sort component, you know based on the sort key and active sort key if the sort is active. Give your sort component an extra class attribute when it is sorted to give the user a visual feedback. So we are gonna to make that method. Return button. Now button children, and that's it. Okay, now the way to define the class is a bit clumsy, isn't it? There is a neat little library to get rid of this. First you have to install it. Okay, let's install that library. Application is still working. Now I have to stop it because I have to install. I know I can open new PowerShell, but and second you have to import it on top of your source app.js file. Yes, the usual stuff. Okay, now you can use it to define your component class name with conditional classes. Was that consort? Let's copy it. Where is it? Sort key should be here. Okay, now on the return, Again, when you run your tests, you should see failing snapshot test, but also failing unit test for the table component. Since you changed again your component representations, you can accept the snapshot test, but you have to fix the unit test in your source app.test.js file. You need to provide a sort key and the isort reverse boolean for the table component. Okay, let's do that. Const props straight after here on the same level. Once again, you might need to accept the failing snapshot test for your table component because you provided props for the table and the full component renders now. Your advanced sort instruction is complete now. Okay, I save here. And let's start application. npm start. Okay, that underline shows where is the sorting now. Yeah, the application is still working. That's it. State management in React and beyond. You have learned the basics of state management in React already in the previous chapters. This chapter digs a bit deeper into the topic. You will learn best practices, how to apply them, and why you could consider using a third-party state management library. Lifting state. Now, lifting state. Only the app component is a stateful ES6 component in your application. It handles a lot of application state and logic methods. Maybe you have noticed that you pass a lot of properties to your table component. Most of the props are only used in the component. It makes no sense that the app component knows about them. The sort functionality is only handled in the table component. You could move it closer to the table component. The app component doesn't need to know about it though. The process of refactoring substate from one component to another is known as lifting state. In your case, you want to move state that isn't used in the app component closer to the table component. The state moves down from parent to child component. In order to deal with state and methods in the table component, it has to become an ES6 class component. The refactoring from functional stateless component to ES6 class component is straightforward. Now, you take your table component as a functional stateless component. Okay. Let me check. Now, in the table, const table, const sorted list, const but that's same. Yeah. Return can get refactored. I don't know why they maybe, I don't know, this looks different color for me, but can get refactored to an ES6 class component. So now that's how they refactor it. I'm gonna pass and I'm gonna quickly analyze it. Let me see. That's it. So what is the difference now? They make it class and it extends component, and we have the render now. And after the return, okay, I think, whoops, I'm gonna do it a bit different. I'm just gonna pass this one. What? Yeah, sorry, it's a bit my mistake. I'm gonna do that refactoring here straight. Come on. And obviously the closing brackets. Now, since you want to deal with state and methods in your component, you have to add a constructor and initial state. Constructor, yeah. I'm gonna straight here before the render, obviously. I'm gonna add the constructor. Now you can move state and methods from your app component down to your table component. And we move state and method. Yeah, so we move that state from this. Yeah, probably we have to delete it up. but I'll do that after I make the code working. It's here. This state. No, that's it. The new line problem like usual, and the same level, indentation level. Now obviously sort key none is sort reverse, the binding and this one and the method we can all comment it out upstairs. So here on sort, this one can be commented, and this one can be commented, and this one can be commented. That's all we've done straight into the class. Don't forget to remove the moved state and onSort method from your app component. Yeah. Let me check. Where is the table? It's here. Around this. Class app extends component constructor. Yeah. Results no. Let me check. Certain is loading. Yeah. Yeah. There is no on sort anymore. That's what they just want to tell me. Additionally, you can make the table component API more lightweight. Remove the props which are handled internally in the table component. Remove the props which are handled internally in the table component. Table component. Remove the props which are handled internally in table component. Okay. So they want me to remove this one in the render. Ah, these two, yeah. Yeah. Table list on this one. And this one. Now in your table component you can use the internal onSort method and the internal table state. Class table extends component, and we use them inside the class in his own render. So we're going to do it that way. Const. Why? Okay. Okay, that's it. Now onSort should be here or in the title. Okay, they put it just after here. OnSort equal this dot onSort, yeah. Then in author, comments, endpoints. Author, comments, endpoints. Your application should still work, but you made a crucial refactoring. You moved functionality and state closer to a component. Other components got more lightweight again. Additionally, the component API of the table got more lightweight because it deals internally with the sort functionality. The process of lifting state can go the other way as well, from child to parent component. Lifting state up. Imagine you are dealing with internal state in a child component. Now you want to fulfill a requirement to show the state in your parent component as well. You would have to lift up the state to your parent component, but it goes even further. Imagine you want to show the state in a sibling component of your child component. Again, you would have to lift the state up to your parent component, but it goes even further. Imagine you want to show the state in a sibling component of your child component. Oh, sorry, I repeat that, sorry. Again, you would have to lift the state up to your parent component. The parent component deals with the internal state, but expose it to both child components. Now, we have to, this is revise set state. It's 1 hour. I think I can do it in one video, maybe another 30 minutes. So far, you have used React set state to manage your internal component state. You can pass an object to the function where you can update partially the internal state. Yeah. Okay. Why should you want to do that? There is one crucial use case where it makes sense to use a function over an object. It is when you update the state depending on the previous state or props. If you don't use a function, the internal state management can cause bugs. But why does it cause bugs to use an object over a function when the update depends on the previous state or props? The React set state method is asynchronous. React batches set state calls and executes them eventually. It can happen then that the previous state or props change in between when you would rely on it. Imagine that foo count and bar count, thus the state or the props can change somewhere else in your component. In a growing application, you have more often set state calls across your application, since set state sorry, I just check what if it's still recording and I lose my where I was. With the function approach, the function in set state is a callback that will operate on the state and props at the time of executing the callback function. Even though set state is asynchronous with the function, it takes the state and props at the time when it executes. Okay, this is a code playground. I'm not gonna do that. Now, let's get back to your code to fix this behavior. Together, we'll fix it for one place where set state is used and relies on the state or props. Afterward, you are able to fix it at places where the state updates relies on the previous state or props. The setSearchStopStories method relies on the previous state and thus is a perfect example to use a function over an object in set state. Right now, it looks like the following code snippet. You extract values from the state but update the state depending on the previous state asynchronously. Now, this is how it looks right now. Now you can use the function to prevent bugs because of a stale state. And they want me to add this one. Let me check this out. So set search stop stories. Here it is. Const hits page equals to result. Let's try it here. And eventually we need that extra brackets in the end. Now, you can move the whole block that you already implemented into the function. You only have to exchange that you operate on the pref state rather than this dot state. Okay, now this dot set state. Oh, that's getting big. That's getting a big boy. That's getting a big boy. Oops, I should leave the last one. So I start from here to here. Now this like that, this like that, return. Okay. That will fix the issue with the stale state. Since it is a function, you can extract the function for an improved readability. That's one more advantage to use a function over an object. The function can live outside of the component, but you have to use a higher order function to pass the result. After all, you want to update the state based on the fetched result from the API. Okay, this is how it is at the moment. Const this update search stop stories. What? Hits page result. What to move this one? What? That will fix the issue with the state. Since it's a function, you can extract the function for an improved readability. That's one more advantage to use a function over an object. The function can live outside of the component, but you have to use a higher order function to pass the result. After all, you want to update the state based on the fetched result from the API. Maybe I don't have to change anything here. The update search stop story state function has to return a function. It is a higher order function. You can define this higher order function outside of your app component. Note how the function signature changes slightly now. Now they want me to update that again. This is update search stop stories. Update. Needs to search. That's a new implementation. Now the console modifier can be built in TypeScript files. Is it not TypeScript file? Oh, cons, that should be in the bottom. Yeah, sorry, I used in the constructor. I want to remove this one. No. Results. Sorry about this bit annoying, but that's it. The function over an object approach in set state fixes potential bugs yet increase readability and maintainability of your code. But there's still errors. Let me see what's wrong. That's where I updated this one in here. And what they say? On sort is not defined, sort key is not defined. 213. They say these guys are not defined. 233 but the set search top stories and this dot set state previous state. Let me see if I make that mistake here. Search top stories const hits page equal to result this dot set state. Okay, looks right. The level, indentation level is good. Only this one, the indentation level is not good. I don't know why. Put it here. This error occurred during the build time and cannot be dismissed. Well, I'll try to debug and I'll come back to you. I'll pause for a minute. Now I've seen the problem because here is like duplicating, and because we put from the internal in the class, and now we no longer need these ones. Now we just have to remove them. And that should make it working. It's working. Let's back to the book. Taming the state. The previous chapters have shown you that state management can be a crucial topic in your application. In general, not only React but a lot of SPA frameworks struggle with it. Applications got more complex in the recent years. One big challenge in web applications nowadays is to tame and control the state. Compared to other solutions, React already made a big step forward. The unidirectional data flow and a simple API to manage state in a component are indispensable. These concepts make it easier to reason about your state and your state changes. It makes it easier to reason about it on a component level and to a certain degree on application level. In a growing application, it gets harder to reason about state changes. You can introduce bugs by operating on stale state when using an object over a function in set state. You have to lift state around to share necessary or hide a necessary state across components. It can happen that a component needs to lift up state because its sibling component depends on it. Perhaps the component is far away in the component tree and you have to share the state across the whole component tree. It happens that components get involved to a greater extent in state management, but after all, the main responsibility of components should be representing the UI, shouldn't it? Because of all these reasons, there exist standalone solutions to take care of the state management. These solutions are not only used in React, however, that's what makes the React ecosystem such a powerful place. You can use different solutions to solve your problems. To address the problem of scaling state management, you might have heard of the libraries Redux or MobX. You can use either of those solutions in React application. They come with extensions React Redux and MobX React to integrate with React. Redux and MobX are outside of the scope of this book. When you have finished the book, you get guidance on how you can continue to learn React and its ecosystem. One learning path could be to learn Redux. Before you dive into the topic of external state management, I can recommend to read this article. It aims to give you a better understanding of how to learn external state management. Now, next one is final steps to production. The last chapter will show you how to deploy your application to production. You use the free hosting service Heroku. On the way to deploy your application, you learn more about Create React App. Okay, sounds very good. Eject. The following step and knowledge is not necessary to deploy your application to production. Still, I want to explain it to you. Create React App comes with one feature to prevent vendor lock-in. A vendor lock-in usually happens when you buy into a technology but there is no escape hatch. In a vendor lock-in, it's hard to change the technology. In Create React App, you have the escape hatch with eject. In your package.json, you find the scripts to start, test, and build your application. The last script is eject. Let me see. Where is it? Oh, debug. Yeah. I can't see eject. Oh wow. Okay. A string. Look at this. React Hacker News. Why? What is the problem? React string does not match the pattern. Z0. Oh, should be only small. Now it match. Okay. Test keyword bugs homepage. Okay. In your package you find the scripts to start, test and build. Start, test and build. Test. Yeah. Debugging. Yeah, this probably start, yeah. Okay. The last script is eject. You could try it, but there is no way back. It is one way of the operation. Once you eject, you can't go back. If you just started to learn React, it makes no sense to leave the convenient environment of Create React App. If you would run npm run eject, the command would copy all the configuration and dependencies to your package.json and a new config folder. You would convert the whole project into a custom setup with tooling that includes Babel, Webpack and ESL int. After all, you would have full control over all these tools. The official documentation say that Create React App is suitable for small to mid-sized project. You shouldn't feel obligated to use the eject command. I'll try that later. Deploy your app. In the end, no application should stay on localhost. You want to go live. Heroku is a platform as a service where you can host your application. They offer a seamless integration with React. Okay, now I know. They've done all that book just to market Heroku as a platform as a service. However, they do a good job. I appreciate that. To be more specific, it's possible to deploy Create React App in minutes. It's a zero configuration deployment which follows the philosophy of Create React App. Now, you need to fill two requirements before you can deploy your application to Heroku. Install Heroku CLI. Create a free Heroku account. If you have installed Homebrew, you can install Heroku CLI from command line. Let's see, brew update. Let's see if site is still working. Okay, I'll close this one and I'll stop my site. Brew. There is no brew. Download and install. Let's play some installations. Now you can use Git and Heroku to deploy your application. Okay. I'm gonna use that in a minute. Outline. That was the last chapter of the book. I hope it helped you to get traction in React. If you like the book, share it as a way to learn React to your friends. It should be used as a giveaway in addition. You could review the book. Okay, at the moment I'm writing my next book about state management in React. It focuses mainly on Redux and all the best practice around it, but we will also teach local state management, show alternatives in state management with MobX, and outline technologies like Relay, GraphQL. You can already pre-order it. Let's see what it is. Maybe he finished, or maybe he didn't. But where can you go from here after you have read this book? You can either extend the application in your own way or dive into your own React project. Before you dive into another book, course or tutorial, you should create your own hands-on React project. Do it for 1 week, take it to production like it was shown in the last chapter, and reach out to me on Twitter. I'm curious what you build after you have read the book. If you're looking for further extension for your application, I can recommend several learning paths: code organization, testing, asynchronous requests, type checking, tooling with Webpack and Babel, state management, routing, React Native. React Native brings your application on mobile devices. You can apply your learning from React to ship iOS and Android applications. The learning curve once you learn the React shouldn't be steep in React Native. Both share the same principles. You will only encounter different layout components on mobile than you are used to in web applications. In general, I invite you to visit my website to find more interesting topics. Once again, if you like the book, blah blah blah, the book is intended to be given to others. That's it. Thank you for the book. Let's start with production. So I will step back a bit. Or not really. Command line, but where? In which folder? Let's see what he execute. Heroku create, HTTP git mars, create react app build pack.git, git add, git commit, git push, Heroku open. Okay, let's start with git init. Heroku create. What? The term Heroku is not recognized as name of CMD let. Type just install Heroku. Heroku. Okay, let's try again. I'll pause and I'll come back when it's finished. I've installed it. Let's try again Heroku, the term Heroku is not recognized name of CM delete function. So I'm gonna try a few commands here, up to date. I'll try with npm to install Heroku, and that's gonna probably work. Let's see. I just try to troubleshoot it, and I don't want to leave something not done. Let's see. It may not take that long though. Set in Node.js environment. I hope we can gonna do the deployment as well, but github.com Mars. It's done. Let's see now if it's gonna work. Heroku file PCL. Now it's trying to load it from somewhere else. Let's try to install this as well, because the path is program files, and to see if that gonna helps. Now it's completed. Let's try again, and this problem again. However, going live is not my priority at the moment, because I can deploy mainly we can deploy with container and with on our own servers. I don't mind. For me this is not a big step, so I'm gonna stop here, and that's the whole application. The application is working. CD Hacker News, npm start. Now the application is completely working and we don't have any problems. That was the main goal of reading and showing the book, because it starts from zero to completely working application. Doesn't have that many features, but it has enough to cover the very basic of React. So that's it. Thank you.